Hello everyone, welcome back to Chinmoy's Biology channel to a new episode of How Do Organisms Reproduce. So this is your third lesson in biology and your seventh lesson in your NCERT science book for your 10th grade. So this episode is very important. Here we will be learning about the main part of asexual reproduction. So don't skip in between because it will be a detailed description and learning of this asexual reproduction. So without further delay, let's get started. So now we are here with your lesson 7th lesson, that is how do organisms reproduce. So first we are having a question in our mind, that is why do organisms reproduce, right? So after all, reproduction is not at all necessary for an organism, unlike the life processes like we have studied nutrition, respiration and excretion in your first lesson, that is life processes. We have learnt about each and individual life process, but reproduction is not that much necessary. On the other hand, if an organism is going to create more individuals, it takes a lot of energy. So why wasting energy in creating more and more individuals? So why should an individual or organism waste energy on it, as it doesn't help us to stay alive? Okay, so it would be interesting to discuss possible answers in the classroom. So what the answer to this question will be, it is obvious that we notice that organisms, because they reproduce, if they are reproducing of a particular kind. So it is doubtful that we would have noticed its existence. So if reproduction stopped, then after 200 or 300 years we will notice that that individual of that own species will not exist. Like if dogs stop reproducing, animals stop reproducing, or even humans stop reproducing, so there will be no existence of that particular kind of animals, plants, etc. in our whole universe. So it is large number of organisms belonging to a single species that bring them to our notice. Okay, so how do we know that two different individual organisms belong to the same species? Usually we say that they look similar to each other. Thus, reproducing organisms create new individuals. So it is creating new individuals and they look very much like to themselves. So humans look alike, animals look alike, and plants look alike. So they are having certain characteristics which show that they are having similar characteristics to each other. Now, do organisms create exact copies to themselves? So what does this mean? See, organisms, they look similar because their body designs are similar. So two humans, we all know they will look similar. Their body designs are similar. 2 legs, 2 hands, 2 eyes, 1 nose, 2 ears. So bodily, they are similar. So reproduction at its most basic level will be making the copies of the blueprints of the body design. So they are making copies, right? In class 9, we have learned that chromosomes in the nucleus of the cell contain information for inheritance of the features from parents to the next generation. So we have studied cell. We know that nucleus contains the genetic material which is transferred from the parent to the next generation. So what are they? They are deoxyribonucleic acid, or they are the DNA. So is it clear? So the DNA in the cell nucleus is the information source of making the proteins. So proteins, from where they are coming? They are coming from the DNA, and it is the information which is changed and it is in different proteins will be made. So the information from the parent to the progeny, it is changed and different proteins will be made. So different proteins will eventually lead to altered body design. So there will be a slight variation in the body designs. Therefore, a basic event in reproduction is the creation of DNA copies. So what is formed? So from the parent to the progeny, what is being transferred? The DNA. So a DNA copy is being formed. So cells use chemical reactions to build copies of DNA, and this create 2 copies of DNA in the reproducing cell, and they will need to be separated from each other. However, keeping one copy of DNA in the original cell and simply pushing the other would not work. Suppose here is a DNA, so it is a double stranded. So DNA, if one copy we are keeping it here and one we are pushing out one strand, so will it work? No, it's not like that. It's not so simple as that. So one inside the nucleus is there, so we are taking out one strand and we are pushing it outside for cell division. No, it's not like that, because simply the copy pushed out would not have any organized cellular structure for maintaining life processes. So it should be inside a cell. It should have a cellular structure which will maintain the life processes. Therefore, DNA copying is accompanied by creation of an additional cellular apparatus, and then the DNA copy is separate, each with its own cellular apparatus. So the cell has divided into two. Again, another cell is formed with all its own cellular apparatus. Okay. So effectively a cell divides to give rise to two cells. Okay. So these two cells are of course similar, and they are likely to be absolutely identical. So the answer to this will depend on how accurately the copying reactions have occurred. So whether they are accurately same, these two cells having the nuclear material, whether they are accurately same or not, it depends on the process. So no biochemical reaction is absolutely reliable, because it is only expected to process the copying of the DNA, and some variations each type will occur. So each time there are certain variations when the cell division happens. So there is a variation from the parent to the daughter cell. Okay. So as a result, the DNA copies generated will be similar but may not be identical to the original. So these DNA copies which they are produced, they may be similar, but they are not identical. Okay, they will look similar, they'll have certain characteristics similar, but they are not identical. Now, on the other hand, there could still be many other variations in the DNA copies that would not lead to such a drastic outcome. Thus, we can say that surviving cells are similar to but subtly different from each other. This inbuilt tendency for variation during reproduction is the basis of evolution, as we will discuss this evolution in the next chapter. Now we will move on to the importance of variation first. Okay, so let us discuss this. So what is the importance of variation, right? So the importance of variation is survival in the changing environment. So actually variations, they increase the chances of survival of individuals if the environment changes. So for example, a disease or a climate change such as a flood, drought, disaster, they help them to survive more. So they affect some individuals, may affect some individuals, but those who have favorable variations will always survive. So we have seen this during the COVID-19 also. So those who have favorable variations, they have survived. So other couldn't survive this drastic virus effect, and also we can say that variations help us to survive in the changing environment. Now next comes the basis of natural selection. Variations are foundation of evolution. So nature selects individuals which are advantageous traits, that is helping species to adapt and evolve over certain generations. So it is the basis of natural selection. So if you are adapting and evolving from one generation to another, nature will help you to do that. So that is also another importance of variation. Third comes improved resistance. So some variations may make organisms more resistant to diseases, predators or harsh conditions, right? Now population stability. A genetically diverse population is more stable and less likely to be wiped out by a single threat. So if there is a variation, the population will be stable enough and there are less chances of a population to be wiped out in a single threat, right? Now the next one is species continuity. So variations will help the continuity of the species by allowing it to adjust to new challenges over time. And in summary, variation introduced during reproduction is essential for the long-term survival and evolution and adaptability of certain species. So is it clear what is the importance of variation? And it is very important. Now we will move on to the lesson part where we will know about the asexual reproduction, sexual reproduction, and different types of asexual reproduction in details. Right, let's go there. So what is asexual reproduction and what is sexual reproduction? So let us first know the difference between asexual and sexual reproduction, and then we will start with the asexual reproduction part. Now in asexual reproduction, a single parent gives rise to genetically identical offspring without the involvement of the gametes like sperm and the egg cell. So this type of reproduction is common in unicellular organisms like bacteria and in some multicellular organisms like hydra and certain plants, right? So methods of asexual reproduction is binary fission. All we will discuss in, if possible, today's class or in the next class. So for getting the updates, whatever I'm posting in all the lessons or in a continuation of lessons, if you are liking my lessons, you need to subscribe to my channel and you need to stay tuned with all the lessons and interesting topics which I'm posting as per your curriculum. So we will discuss about binary fission in details, budding, fragmentation and vegetative propagation, right? Now it is generally faster and simpler. This asexual mode of reproduction is faster and simpler but does not promote any genetic diversity or variation is not there in this type of asexual reproduction. Whereas in sexual reproduction, what is there? Let us see that. Now sexual reproduction involves the fusion of the male and the female gametes, and we can see that this process it results in offspring that are genetically different from both the parents, promoting the variation within the species, right? So there is variation. Sexual reproduction is typical in most animals and many plants. So although it is more complex and slower process compared to asexual reproduction, it plays a crucial role in evolution by increasing the adaptability through the genetic variation, right? So thus the key differences lies in a number of parents involved, genetic similarity of the offspring and the biological processes used. Okay, so in asexual, both the parents are not involved, only one single parents give rise to certain daughter cells and the reproduction process carries on, whereas here both the parents are involved. Genetic variation similarly is there in the offspring and biological processes are used. So this is asexual and sexual reproduction main difference. Now let us move on to the next part. So here next comes the mode of reproduction used by single organisms, right? So this all we have already studied many things today. We have studied about the basic of this today's lesson, and we have also studied about the asexual sexual reproduction difference, the importance of variation and all. So this all in the next episode we will be studying tomorrow. That is, what is fission, what are the different types of fission. So we will put stress on binary fission, its types. We will study about multiple fission and its types. All we will discuss in the next class. Then we will move on to fragmentation. We will study about the regeneration. We will study about budding, and we will study about this all in the next episode. Okay, so we will study about vegetative propagation as well. So till then you should subscribe to my channel, stay tuned and keep on learning what I am posting. So in the next video we will be coming back with the types of asexual reproduction. So keep watching, stay tuned to my channel. Thank you, thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.